Why, hello there. What's going on? It's me, Torball. And this is going to be different from my usual style of video. So today I wanted to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for gotta be at least a year or two now. But, I'm going to preface it by saying, the obvious. I love fighting games. Fighting games are my absolute favorite genre in all of gaming. And if I had to pick one genre to play the rest of my life, it'll definitely be fighting games. It's always a lot going on. We always got something fun to do, So there's a variety of them out there. But I believe that the fighting game genre needs to evolve. Now, when I say evolve, I don't mean like fighting games or aren't doing anything new exactly. They're doing new things, kinda, but at the same time, it feels like with every new fighting game we get, it doesn't have anything that grabs me. Like there's nothing there that makes me feel like it's a brand new, 100% brand new experience. Like I feel like I need a fighting game I could go into that, it's a blank slate. Like everybody could just go in, have a fresh learning experience, and you have fun. Like, something that doesn't need too much, that doesn't require too much legacy. And, I just wanted to go over that. Like, it's a bit of a rant-ish style video, but I'm not really mad or anything. It's just, I want to explain why I feel this way. I say they don't change much because if you look at a lot of modern fighting games, a lot of them are kind of sticking to similar design philosophies, and a lot of them are sticking to certain gimmicks. Let's look at what we call the big three fighting games right now. Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive. All of them. Well, I wouldn't say Tekken did as much, but Street Fighter and Guilty Gear. Tekken as well. Sorry, they all lean towards aggression, forced aggression. Like they make the game to where the players will want to be like the best place to be is in your opponent's face all the time, and you give you options that'll aid you in doing it. It feels like and then not only that, the games are simplifying aspects to make it easier for them to play. Like Street Fighter 6 has its modern mode that makes it easy. Of course, you lose out on moves, you lose out on normals and damage, but you get quicker execution for all your special moves. And not only that, we got Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear doesn't do it as much, but they reduced, their combo system, the Gatling system from previous versions, so you can do a little less than you could beforehand. And then we got Tekken, which has easy combo inputs as well, and a little button that allows you to put macros on there, stuff like that. We got Grand Blue versus Ryzen that pretty much operates on auto combos, and if you're being real, most of the basic B&B in that game is damn near universal. In the corner, auto combo into special, into heavy attack special, into heavy attack special, into heavy attack super. That's there. It's outside of that, it's all just things that just put people in people's face. Oh, I said Grand Blue too. They dash L, they have the dashing lights. Same thing, just drive rush in Street Fighter. We got Wild Assault and Guilty Gear. Tekken has the heat system, which I feel like kind of messed up the game. I don't really fuck with Tekken no more because of that. But Hey, I mean, some people like it, some people don't. But I feel like, you know, everybody's going this aggressive route, and they want their games to be like more spectator based, so that, you know, it'll appeal to spectators in tournaments, and, you know, get them. I guess, you know, it's fair that, but I probably get them more of an audience. But I feel like, you know, games just don't feel like they have like gameplay variety as much as they did like before. Like, if we thinking of something, let's say my favorite fighting game of all time is Ultimate Marvel 3. It's so much variety in that game, it don't make no sense. Yeah, you got, you know, you got your infinites, and you got your mix-ups that kill motherfuckers in one hit. Not one hit, but, you know, one mistake. But you gotta work for that stuff. And there's a variety of play styles that are viable in that game. Like, zoning is viable, rush down is viable. Shoot, I mean, grabbing is viable. Like, you just walk up and grab Magneto. But, like, you know, it's always a variety of things you can do, and it all works. Like if you look at my other favorite fighting game of all time, Killer Instinct. That whole roster plays differently from each other. Yeah, the combo system is kind of streamlined because, you know, you got the linkers into doubles or manuals, and, you know, into finishers, you know, the enders. But the meat of that gameplay isn't the combos. It's the mind games between players. But I'll get back to that later. Another thing I think needs to evolve in fighting games are the stages, particularly 2D fighting games. I say that because, you know, all of these games are practically just still confined to a box. Like, I know that makes sense. It makes sense in terms of, you know, we're playing on a fucking rectangular screen. Of course it's gonna be in a damn box, but, like, has nobody really tried making, like, the bounds of gameplay a little bit different? Like, I feel like that is an avenue that has barely been explored. Like, it might have been explored a little bit back in the day. Like, I could think of games like, let's say, the old Fatal Fury games. You know, they had ring outs. If you broke the end of the stage, they had ring outs that you could knock your opponent out of afterwards. Or, you know, we got stuff like, let's say, Mortal Kombat 3. You know, one of my favorite fighting games, you know, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, where you can uppercut somebody and then send them to another stage. Now, granted, you know, that's not really, it doesn't really affect gameplay too heavily, but, you know, it changes up the scenery. It gives a vibe of like moving through a world. And to me, I feel like, you know, we really haven't had much of that. Like, I could think of something like, you know, Mortal Kombat and Injustice, you know, for like at least the Injustice series and Mortal Kombat X and 11. They had interactables, which I don't think were the best choice to do, because, you know, a lot of them could be goofy. Cue the Batman garbage can clip, but something like that could be switched up and worked on, you know, make it a little bit more elaborate, or, you know, maybe like have a stage have more of a role in the gameplay. But that's just my idea. I mean, I have ideas for that, but I'm saving it for when I work on my fighting game again, you know. So, you know, I ain't gonna say too much on that. Another thing is that a lot of content in these games are still kind of lacking. Like, don't get me wrong, they're starting to pick up the pace now. Like Street Fighter, when they came out with World Tour and the Battle Hub, that was a big addition. Like, they literally, to me, I feel like they could have dropped that game with just what is it, Fighting Grounds, with the online and like all the characters and stuff like that, versus mode, arcade mode, all that. If they dropped that like that, shit, it would have been a decent game. It was sure as hell would have been better than Street Fighter 5 with how that came out. But no, they added a whole open world thing with all the characters. You know, make your own character, do all this stuff. Then they got a battle hub where you can make your own character, fight other people, and communicate with people. That was genius. That was good. That was good. But then we got some games out here coming out that feel like they don't got shit in them. City of the Wolves. City of the Wolves. It didn't really feel like it had shit in it. Like, you know how fast that game died? Like, that game was the talk of the town for a solid week or two. A solid week or two. And then everybody just abandoned it because it just didn't feel like it was shit to do. And then that's another game that went the aggressive route too. I mean, now granted, they stayed closer to like their old school style of gameplay. But the SPG shit, that shit was worse than Drive Impact to me when I played that shit. That shit was annoying. And they could just spam into, I mean, you know, they run up their rev gauge, but they could just spam the shit. And look, it'd be annoying. Some of them shits wasn't even punishable. From what I recall, at least. But, that's what I was saying. Yeah, City of Wolves didn't really feel like it had too much content. Outside of, like, you know, it's Southtown stories thing. Yeah, I did a little bit of that, but I got bored because it was just fighting CPU characters. Then we had, Hunter x Hunter, and then that patch just came out. We ain't even gonna talk about that one. And you know, shit, Mortal Kombat 1 came out, and you know, that's a series known for its content. Mortal Kombat 1 felt bare bones as hell. I don't know how they went from Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 11. Granted, you know, I fucking hate Mortal Kombat 11, like my least favorite in the franchise. One of my least favorites. That game had tons more content than Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 had a story mode, weak ass invasions, and that's it. That's and online. Well, I don't really got too many ideas for like what content could be added, but like I'm sure there's things out there that can be added to fighting games to give them more of a allure, you know, and you know make it more exciting to play. Another thing. Now this one is specifically with Mortal Kombat. What the fuck is NetherRealm doing? What did they do? Mortal Kombat X is like one of my favorite fighting games of all time too. If I gotta put it in the list, it's probably number 3 or 4 out of top 5. They made Mortal Kombat 11. That shit was slow. And you know, I tried to give it a chance. I tried to play it, I tried to enjoy it, but it just wasn't for me. Then they made Mortal Kombat 1, and that shit felt stiff as fuck. Not only that, they called themselves adding cameos in, so they gave the characters less on, like at the beginning. So the characters felt bare, and they had to rely on cameos to do shit. That was annoying. I didn't really like that. I'm not a big fan of the cameo system. Like, even if my favorite fighting game is a tag game, I didn't want that in Mortal Kombat. This is me just complaining. Now I don't really got much to say in terms of evolution, but I feel like, you know, Mortal Kombat needs to. Like, Mortal Kombat is always trying to evolve. That's, like, if it's any franchise out there that evolves in terms of gameplay, it's Mortal Kombat. They're always doing something different. So I need to see that again, because I don't feel like they was really doing that now the last couple games. It felt like they were regressing. Now let's talk about 3D games. Now see, I'm not the biggest 3D game player, but where are they? Where are the 3D games at? I know Virtua Fighter 6 just had a trailer. Yeah, that's fine and dandy. I'm waiting for that. It did look interesting. It looked like they trying to change up the gameplay too. So, you know, that might be an evolution right there. But it ain't here yet. Tekken, they decided to follow in the path of Street Fighter and put a meter in the game and make it more of an aggressive experience, which to me kind of threw off the appeal of Tekken. In terms of, like, you know, I felt like that was always a more defensive heavy, you know, outsmart your opponent ass game. Now, you know, you hit that what's the mechanic called? I don't forgot again. I said it earlier. You know what I'm talking about though. Heat. You do the heat. and you hit them, you plus, then you do your heat move, your heat attack, you even more plus, and now you get to do some other shit that might end up being plus, and then guess what? While they in block stun, you get to grab them, and they gotta break it because ain't no block stun stopping a grab like in other fighting games. That annoyed me. I'm just complaining about that. But I feel like, you know, Tekken should be one of the biggest innovators right now. You know, they always change enough stuff. I like, you know, they got the most dynamic camera angles. They got some interesting gameplay decisions. They got the most open stages. Like 3D games are doing with their stages what I think 2D games should be doing. You know, expanding the stage, making sure the stage has room in the gameplay. DOA was doing a similar thing too. They put a meter in 6. It didn't turn out too well for them. They should have did something else. But I feel like, you know, the direction for that game probably wasn't with evolution in mind. Regardless of that, you know, let's move on. I want to talk about, let's say, arena fighters. Arena fighters are pretty much the laughingstock of the community. You know, next to platform fighters, but that's a different story. You know, arena fighters they are treated like they're not going to be competitive. You know, I feel like they should evolve, and they can be evolved into something that can be considered competitive. Games that people could play and have active tournaments for and be viewed in a similar light. All they have to do is, you know, not be made purely for fan service and made with competitive mechanics and gameplay in mind. Now, that's simple. I'm pretty sure there's an indie game, I forgot the name of it, but there's an indie game that's coming out with that type of mindset. I think it's Netcode Warriors. It looks interesting. They got like Digimon-esque designs, and they're going for a competitive type of gameplay. Now, don't get me wrong. You can take the current stuff competitively, like what Demon Slayer, Kami Chronicles, Sparking Zero, Storm, My Hero. You know, they can be taken competitively. Yes, of course, everything can. But I'm saying, you know, until like their intention is to do that, you know, they might never get the respect that they, you know, deserve. So, you know, there's that. I mean, I feel like their way for evolving is kind of the opposite of the way the other games should be evolving, if that makes sense. That's platform fighters. Platform fighters as a genre are probably the biggest evolution out of fighting games, because they hatch a whole new genre. People love them. And you know what I all spawned from? Smash Bros. Mainly Melee. Ultimate 2, you know. But the thing is, most of these platform fighters that's coming out, what do? They don't seek to evolve. They don't seek to bring big new ideas to the table. Now, sure, they may have some new ideas to put in their game, yeah, but they're not like groundbreaking. What they do is they be like, hey, my game play like Melee, so you can play Melee that's not Melee. And while with the resources we got now, you know, they got Slippy and all these mods that enhance Melee and other versions of Smash to play like Melee with more characters. What's the point of grabbing that platform fighter? Like there's no reason, unless you're doing something different. Now, so now they doing either, you know, oh, I made Melee, but it also has like Guilty Gear Roman cancels in it. Okay, I mean, all right, but like, is it like what's really different? What's really different? The last let's see, I'm trying to think of the last platform fight I think really did something different. Probably Rival was an Aether. Rival was an Aether. They had melee-isms, yeah. But they also had stuff that differentiated them from Melee. And then not only that, they had the community stuff where you can make your own characters and put your own characters in it. That was a big ass idea, and that paid off for them a lot. I know it did. But not everybody can do that, you know. But anyway, I think let me go over some ideas of how I think, just to fire out some ideas I think that can help the genre evolve. We got, bring back gameplay variety. Wilder, bigger, more unique mechanics that we haven't seen before, or something from like other games that may feel like it might not belong in fighting games, but it could work in a fighting game. We gotta give it a try. We gotta take a risk. Change up the stages. Stop having stages just being there for background. But if we did that, then maybe we wouldn't have Capcom banning the training stage, because that's all people pick, or things like that. We can have stages that matter, like outside of just the character selection, the stage picks matter too. That'd be a cool thing. Not only that, I think we should look for other genres for inspirations. Like let's take the indie games for example. There's a game called Beatdown Dungeon. One of my favorite indie fighting games. Beatdown Dungeon and the sequel that's still being worked on, Demon Day, are single player focused fighting games that operate like a dungeon crawler. So you go through a dungeon, beating up enemies, leveling up your characters, collecting new badges and all this other affect gameplay, and you go through the dungeon. And then it also have a competitive side, which I did compete in when it was doing it. But they had a fun game because they had the badges and their helpers that enhanced the gameplay. Now, granted, it was nothing too big on the gameplay side of things, because it was still inspired by like Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue and stuff like that. Like it was more like simpler than those, but the single player aspects, that was not something that probably hasn't been done before. Or if it has been done, it's probably done like on a one-off PlayStation 1 game that nobody knows about. Another example, we got let's say, it's another one that just came out actually. It's called Explosive Judo Federation. And that game is pretty much a fighting game, a 3D fighting game, where the goal is to grab your opponent. The grab is what causes you to win. The normal hits don't cause the win, just the grab. And they describe it as dive kick for grappler mains. That's a unique idea. An idea that got him a lot of praise. We gotta find stuff that will make the game unique and more interesting to play. They don't even gotta be big ideas. It could be little ideas too. What else? We got this one called 52 Beat Up. And that's an interesting card game as well. It's like I mean, I said card game, a fighting game as well. But I say card game because it integrates a card game into it as well. Every time it operates on what you got to win 5 rounds, something like that. Every round, if you win or lose, the loser pick like 2 cards out of 5, and then the winner will pick one more out of the 5 that's remaining. And these are upgrades to your character. And you can keep getting those every time you win or lose until your character come out overpowered by the end of it. And until somebody win. And it's like kind of like roguelike-ish mechanics that greatly improves the gameplay. It makes the game feel different every time you play it. That is a genius idea. I'm not saying like a competitive fighting game should probably do that, but I feel like that'll still be a fun game to play competitively. But it can be a fun side mode in a regular fighting game too. I'm just saying, I feel like there's a lot of directions this genre can still go. And it feels like right now they're kind of sitting back and just playing it safe and playing follow the leader to keep their money flowing in. Now, you know, one more game I want to mention before I go. It is going to be two more games. No, one more. I'll just make one more. I want to say 2XKO, but you know, I don't really feel like 2XKO does too much special. I mean, they did bring back 2v2. They are innovating with that, but at the same time, Street Fighter Cross Tekken was the first to do that. But I do think 2XKO are doing that better, and so I can count that as an evolution, because that might cause, you know, future fighting games to do it more as well. But I want to bring up Marvel Tokon. I played Marvel Tokon. It's doing something unique as well. You know, it's making it a 4v4 fighter, but in a way where you don't have to learn 4 characters. You don't even have to play with all 4 characters on your team. You just have them there, and like they're doing a lot of shifting with the stage as well. Like the stage isn't really too interactive, but you know, on certain spots of the stages, you can knock your opponent away and gain advantages from that, like getting a new person on your team, or you know, getting the knockdown in the corner if you in that the right area. So that does, like, you know, it's playing with the stage a little bit, and you know, it's adding more depth by giving you 4 players with changing assists, because the way the switching works, it kind of causes everybody's assist to change. So each assist, while they do have a type, they might be a little different every time around. So you know, it's definitely an evolution for tag fighters, and I'm excited to play it again when the game come out, or another beta or something like that come out. But for right now, it's not here yet, so I'm not counting it as an evolution yet. We need change. But I do love fighting games though, so you know, I am having fun. Probably gonna hop back on Street Fighter to play some Sea Viper really soon, but I just thought I should get that out, you know. I thought I should get that out. It's a long video. Sorry. Probably not gonna do too much editing, but it is what it is. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.